Welcome to Wook Plus. I am Weekend Wook, joined by Kev the Great Went, T, and Mr. Jon Herman is going to join us tonight. How you doing, John? Welcome.
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me back.
We got a lot to talk
Feeling
about
good.
tonight. Holy shit, SE, man, you are coming through with all of the topics that I forgot to add to the set list. I guess we'll hit RIP Antelope Greg off at the top. I completely forgot to throw that in there. But yeah, that just happened this week, too. There's a lot going on. Any of you
A
guys know
legend of the
Greg?
rail. Legend of the rail gone.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about it because I didn't know him, but all the stories I heard were real shitty, not a great character, but also kind of legendary and it had a part of
Yeah,
history. It's
I never knew him
conflicting.
either. Yeah, I saw a lot of people come out with said that they had a lot of nice words to say about him, and I guess he had a reputation, but clearly he had a lot of people who loved him a lot and stuff. I never had the pleasure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was definitely sad, and it's always sad when you lose somebody that young, but
I mean, he blazed a trail and he set the standard.
and you followed right behind him.
Yeah. So did he
Yeah.
he invented the whole kind of rail culture or keeping your space and all of that happens to this day? Is that all kind of his brainchild?
Yeah, that's the general gist of it, I think, and just resorting to violence and aggression, and you know, keeping people out at all means
Right.
necessary.
Well, we were talking before we started about mosh pits, and that's kind of it's kind of like grafting the mosh pit into a jam band is what he was doing,
And back
Yeah.
then, mosh pits were much
Big.
more. Yeah, those were kind of like shows you went to more than you went to jam band shows. He was just a very aggressive dancer, and yeah, they were interesting times. I mean, we also had tarps back then, and it was a little crazier.
Speaking
There
of
were a lot-
tarps, did you know that at Mexico, the gift they gave everybody this year was like a really big tarp, which actually you can see.
I see it hanging behind
Hanging
you.
in.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
an
That's an
expert,
that's like
epic
that's half
troll.
of it. It's
expert
pretty
level
huge.
troll.
It's
Expert
pretty
level
huge.
troll.
Yeah, like they were like, and even last year they're like, no one can bring any blankets, no one can do it. And they're like, everyone gets like a 8 foot by 8 foot tarp.
Were there a lot of them
Pretty nice
spread
stuff.
out in the sand down in front? Did people bring them in?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
They definitely did. You could basically bring anything you wanted in there. The only thing they wouldn't let you wear like a Moon Palace robe, like one of the robes that they comes in your room. Like you
Sure.
weren't allowed, just or their own towels. Like they didn't want you to bring hotel stuff to the beach, but anything else.
Oh, that's kind of weird. I feel like if I were there, I would go full resort mode and just never, either be
Would
in
you
a
wear a
bathing suit
robe?
or a robe the whole time. Yeah. I don't know.
People still did. Yeah, I think a lot of people
Yeah.
were. There's definitely a lot of robes.
Oh,
going on.
I'm like somebody that doesn't know how to do luxury. It's just how I imagine in my mind. I'm just like, oh, this would be fun. All right. So today was a big anniversary in the Phish world. 3609, the return of Phish after the breakup and bringing in 3.0. We had a little microdose earlier and touched on it, but I figured we could, now that John's here and it, with you guys, bring it back up. Any big takeaways from that point, that time, when they came back, how you were feeling, what you thought of everything? Has your mind changed of your time back then now?
I mean, for me, I remember back then, I guess 2009, I was on Twitter and there wasn't that much. There was no streaming and I would watch. You could see the set list come in, or maybe it was, I don't know, some social media. You could watch the songs come in as that was happening. So I knew Fluffhead was being played to start it, and it was like, oh cool. And maybe you get a tiny little burst of someone filming from the crowd, but I don't think the technology was there.
I
remember,
oh, sorry.
Go on.
No, it was just weird because it was such a big hype for me and my brother and my group of friends, but it doesn't feel like things are hype the way things get hyped now. Just because I wasn't not just connected as in doing this, but I wasn't really connected to social media at all, right? So it's it was a very it felt like a very micro thing when like the announcement and the thing. It was just like my group was like stoked, and I'm sure everybody's group was really stoked, but I didn't feel that like that same community, and I couldn't go because I was, I was occupied. But like I don't know, it felt like a much more personal hype type thing, whereas like now every little thing, like Gamehenge, every little announcement, everything, it's like everybody celebrates together online.
Yeah.
What was more important than Phish coming back to start 3.0 that you weren't there?
Oh, me, you mean? I mean,
no, Tim. I'm just messing with Tim.
You know what it was? My senior year. I will.
Oh, you're old.
I know. I will expose my youth. I was trying to graduate college, and it was in fucking March. That summer after I got out,
in 2009.
I saw a bunch of shows. Yeah.
Wow, you're really young. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm
a baby. It's fine.
I was about 6 months into my 18-month divorce journey at that point.
you're already into the adult shit, big time.
Well, how fucked up was that though? Was the whole time I was at school and like the years I could have seen the most shows was the years they broke up. It was like all through high school and everything. I loved it. They're playing, but like I was too young to go, and I was like ready to go, and I finally could go. And then like fucking break up, and I was like, "Oh, this sucks."
Yeah,
but you got to see Mo. You got.
I know. That's what I did. I saw Mo all those years to make up for it, which was not the same.
Yeah, I remember I met a couple of people once who told me that they became fans of Phish like right during 2.0, and like decided like they were and like I feel bad for those people. Like there was a very short ride before
drink
they had
the Kool-Aid and go to get on the bus, and then like the bus crashes at Coventry, and you're like, "Oh, I guess this trip's over."
Yeah,
but
I've
then
been thinking a lot about Coventry, though.
Yeah.
What you thinking, T?
It defined the era. It did define the era.
Yeah.
T hasn't woken up yet.
Yeah, for people who, if you went to Coventry, it was a very strange thing for, that 2009 reunion to happen, because that was a really apocalyptic, crazy, emotional event that I think most of us were way too kind of young to really process properly. And everything about it was so fucked up and chaotic that it was the weirdest way to, like, we really did think that it was over. Can you imagine the kind of sadness that people had? But also, not only that, half the people thought they weren't even gonna get to go in. Like there was all this compounded like sadness and trauma. Like they think that curveball thing was nothing compared to Coventry, compared to like the punch in the your balls of your soul. Like curveball, whatever. Phish was still gonna be like around. They missed a festival, but we were like gonna be missing like the end of the greatest thing ever.
Right, and it was a poop show. But it was a poop show too. Trey couldn't play Glide. I will give the Split Open and Melt a shout out. That is a top tier. Split Open
I'll tell you, some of Coventry was luckily for the second night. I like got down pretty close, and it was like a fucking exorcism. It was there. I think the Ghost and the Split Open, like it was as good as anything I've ever seen Phish do. Like on that night, like I think Trey was like expunging every demon or what the hell was happening. Like it was. If you listen to those songs, like he's like howling in it, and I can sense his like fucking pain. I guess it made sense, more in retrospect, but it was very intense. Like
giving away the trampolines.
Yeah, that was a really crazy experience, I'll tell you. And obviously, for the people who did that and then got to go to Hampton, I mean, that must have been amazing. I didn't get to.
The complete change in dichotomy, and like all of a sudden the release of finally being back, and to bring Fluffhead back after all that time.
Well, and finally being back, I mean, it's not even the good thing is they weren't even gone that long in the grand scheme of things. When you look back at it, like there's bands that break up for 20, 30 years and then get back together, and they're like so old by the time they come back, and you're like, oh my God, at least they're back together and I get to see them, but it's not the same. I mean, we're talking 4 or 5 years here, and it's like,
it felt like for a really long time.
But like your point of going to college is basically going through high school. Like it wasn't terrible. Like it wasn't.
If Phish had like stopped between like 2013 and 2018 and then came back, like would you be really that sad? I mean, I don't know, maybe not. Like, maybe they've been
like, oh, it's 5 years. Okay,
better
cool. I'm
since then.
glad that's as short as it took them to get back together and realize they missed it that much and sober up and do it was nice, but it's still, it felt like, to your point, John, though, like you said, it felt like the end and like it's over. And we talked about it on the microdose earlier, like when Jerry died, how it was just over, right? Like you're like, I'm never gonna see that band again. It kind of felt like that with Phish, even though they were still alive. You were like, I'm never gonna see them again. We had it so good, and now it's gone. And fuck,
Little did we know that the Grateful Dead would play for 30 more years and keep going and never stop ever.
And Clemente would end up being the longest tenured keyboard player.
Right? Yeah, it's crazy.
Is that true? Shut up.
With Bobby, yeah, he's played with Bobby
since
Rat Dog.
Now?
Yeah. He's played with Bobby since Rat Dog. Yeah, he's been with Bobby.
See, Kev, I think that just shows
years.
that really the curse was really Jerry then to the keyboardist, because once Jerry got all the way, they're okay.
Yeah, that's like totally. That's like the full flipped version. Like the most consistent member is the keyboardist.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So last night we had Wook Club and we were going through a 3.0 show. It was in Jacksonville for 2016. And there were some songs that were polarizing. Some people were like, yeah, I really dig it. Other people were like, no, I fucking hate that song. And it got me thinking, and I kind of wanted to have that conversation. Chad, I'm curious what you guys think, but like, what's your guilty pleasure of a song? And it doesn't just have to be Phish. Like, I mean, it can be Dead or whatever, but I'm specifically thinking about with Phish because there's a couple songs that I like geek out really hard when they start playing it, and I look around and everybody's leaving to go to the piss, and I'm like, oh man, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, John, you got one in mind?
Yeah. I mean, like, I would say, I mean, I had that happen to me in Mexico twice. Actually, it's really weird. I would say a couple of my least favorite songs that I maybe would consider set killers, or as a jaded vet, that not happy to hear, would be like Life Beyond the Dream and More, particularly More. Never like, I mean, but I'll tell you, down in Mexico, you have to go into the details of what the circumstances, but both like basically Life Beyond a Dream made me like cry like a baby, and I'm like never do that. Because I don't know, it made sense to me. It's like I listened to it. Maybe I never did before, but it's actually a pretty amazing song. Yeah. And even More is a song that like makes me want to like go like this to the band, And I actually was like, no, okay, I actually understand what this song is talking about now. It actually made sense. So I guess those were like guilty pleasures in a way, like. I don't know. Well, some of my friends, like, it's weird. I know, like, a lot of people love those songs. I do too. And I think there's a certain sort of shell that older Phish fans have that don't want to hear Ernest Trey. But I was one of those people, and I feel like I don't know, broke down. Like, he really does have some wisdom there, and I feel like both those songs like felt like they were very much speaking to me, and it was weird because for years I'm like, ugh. Even in Mexico, I saw More.
Drift.
Yeah,
not drift. We're not bringing drift into that.
Yeah, no. Well,
Kev, what's your guilt? Oh.
Yeah. My guilty pleasure? Well, I've been defending the line since 2016, and I will take that any day of the week. I love that song.
Do you really like it though? Like when we're at Mondegreen and Raging and they play it, you better fucking like get up and have a good time with it.
I'll be so excited for you, Kev, if they play. Like, I like knowing that you like it's good to know. It's bad songs. So when you hear them, you think of that person though in those bad songs. So you're like, well, at least somebody's excited they're playing this, so it makes it better to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I coached basketball for years, and the whole backstory to it, and I watched that game. I remember vividly watching that game and the guy missing the free throws, and it's just.
Wait, is that song about a specific game?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
What game is it about?
I never forget what's like. Yeah.
Llama's going to tell us. Llama's looking it up right now.
Llama's high as shit. He's not doing anything.
Llama's taking a nap.
No, I remember like friends of mine who are into sports definitely told me like which basketball game he was talking
Seton
about.
Hall, Michigan.
I completely forget.
Yeah,
I got Michigan and I got Seton Hall. So
They were playing each other. You have two teams, but the guy from Michigan, they were down by 1 point. So if he made the 2 free throws, they would win the game. And he missed the first one. So they're like, well, of course this guy's going to make the other one and at least tie it. And he didn't. And then he fell to the ground in like fetal position. And, all his teammates came out and got him standing up and he's crying. And,
all crying at basketball.
It's weird to think about the guilty pleasure regarding Phish. Like usually, like people are pretty vocal about what they like and don't like, and it's the whole idea of a guilty pleasure is like something that you're like keeping a secret, and like it's funny to think that there's Phish fans out there who like are afraid to admit to their friends that they like.
I don't know, like to my friends, but there's definitely songs I brought up on here. Or like on socials where people give me shit for it. And like
what?
Well, like so like one of mine is like Stealing Time. I really like the guitar riff.
Right.
And like the lyrics are fucking stupid. I get it. And it's from a period of time in the band where like the songs didn't really land. But every time they play it, I fucking love it. And that's like a song every time I bring it up, people are like, oh, that song sucks. Like, why do you like it so much?
One of the better lyrics, though. That's one of the better lyrics.
Oh, you like that? All right, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't need to feel guilty about it. That's the other thing. It's not always logical. Sometimes there's not like it's just an irrational guilt, even though like maybe it turns out people don't mind it.
I was reading the review of like the final night and I guess the Fishnet. I forget. It was really well written. It was really good. And he was talking about how I don't think that guy was a big fan of More either. But he was like, I couldn't. Everyone was like. I was vibrating with Love and Light. I was doing it, even though I like made fun of that,
Well,
so
at that
many
point
times. I just lost myself in the moment, and it was great. I was part of it, so I guess.
Oh, that's you should feel guilty about this one, RP. I don't know about that. Fucking with you.
I think you'll always find.
Yeah, I would. I agree.
I was saying is, I think the thing is, you'll always find somebody who likes it though. Like I'm always surprised that, I mean, with the Dead guilty pleasure songs, I used to always like Lost Sailor, State of Circumstance, because like my group of friends hated those songs, so I always like could never admit it, but I'd always be like, all right, cool, like we're gonna get that. But then I started talking to Kev about it, and he's like, I love those songs. I was like, really? Somebody likes it? Okay, cool. Like it's always funny when you like find other people that you're like, okay, cool. So there are people.
I got a guilty pleasure Dead song for me would be Samba in the Rain. I really dig Samba in the Rain, and people just trash that one.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
more
right on.
Guilty pleasures than anything.
Let's get down to dirty. No need to.
Yeah.
I like Saint. Saint's
is Bug a guilty pleasure song? Because like I love Bug, but sometimes
I think it's becoming one.
Cool.
I think I think it used to be kind of more accepted, but I don't know. I feel like the last couple of years, with the way it's been played in placement and shit, I see it. I like it still, but I do see more bitching and moaning about it than I ever saw before. But
ever since he brought up the young lady to sing it, I think it's kind of gotten a bad rap in some circles.
Yeah, with shitty ass jaded Phish fans, crotchety old.
Yeah, that was there's a lot of like moments with children that have been happening lately, like that, and I mean, you saw the whole Mango song thing that happened.
Oh yeah, it fucked me
Mexico.
up.
Yeah, but
I was all teary for like 2 days after that.
Yeah, I think most people were very emotional, but like also I talked to people down there after it, and like I'd say a good amount of people were like, it was so weird that they went into Carini after that. And they were like, it seemed a little bit chaotic. They were like, they just did this totally, really emotional story, and then they're like, now Lucy's dead. I don't know. It was just like a really weird choice to go into this ultra dark, I would say one of their top 3 nastiest, darkest sort of like fuck you songs. I don't know,
maybe there's something cathartic.
It was a very
it.
weird. Yeah, exactly. I almost felt like they needed to do that. Like, that whole first night, honestly, in Mexico, like I was a little worried, like, because it was not what I would call like a good show. I mean, it had its moments, especially what came later.
Set, though.
But I mean, but you can still get like, where's the band at? It's still a Phish set.
Yeah,
and it was a little bit like you could feel the fucking creaks in the fucking like moving machinery, and it was like, like, is this gonna be like this all weekend, or what's like, it was a little worrisome in a way. And I feel like the careening actually, it was a catharsis. Like, they got through all the shit and they did this song, and it seemed like the first time they really were just like, okay, this is where we're going this weekend. Fuck all that, we're just gonna like dive into the abyss, and which they never really did. I mean, I've been to a bunch of Mexicos except one, and I've always had a blast, but the music was just so completely on a different level this time, like unexpectedly. I don't think anyone thought that they would like, totally be going to the dark side as much as they did, like down there. It doesn't really happen.
So does this set the tone? Did it set the tone for the year? Are we going to have evil, industrial, sludgy Phish all year?
I don't know, because part of me feels like at the Sphere they're gonna get all kind of lyrical. They're gonna do. I think they want to honestly play shows at the Sphere that people can sit down for. I think there are gonna be definitely numbers that are meant to be sat down for. So I feel like they're gonna do, I don't know, like Esther kind of. I mean, they're gonna do performance stuff because the seats, vibrate, and there's smells and there's wind. So I feel like they're gonna really, at least some of the stuff they're doing is gonna be meant to be watched sitting down. Because it's true, like if you're up in the top, like you can't. I don't know if anyone's ever danced for 3 hours up in like the 400 sections. That might be
people are
kind of
gonna
weird.
sit just from the vertigo and the fucking visuals
Yeah.
and stuff.
So I think
and honestly, it's not gonna have the social pressure. Like, I feel like if everybody's seated and having a good time, it's gonna be fine. Like, you don't have to be up for it, I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I've never been to a Phish show and sat the whole time, but I feel like that's okay.
I feel like there's going to be more. I think there's going to be. I feel like there's going to be more performance of that's geared towards a seated audience than most Phish shows. But I do think it's.
But that could also be melt. You could argue that like a crazy mind melting, like fucked up Space Jam is for seated, right? Like you got to like strap in.
Dude, if you see videos from like the 70s where like when Genesis would play, they play these crazy like 29-minute long songs, like, Supper's Ready.
And everyone's fat.
And all those audiences, like they're just sitting, like, seeing like the greatest bands of all time. Like, it wasn't that abnormal to sit there and watch Genesis or Yes play.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of the Doors from Fillmore East in 70. And they had chairs on the floor with neat little walkway rows, and everybody was sitting. It was from behind, and it was Morrison up there doing his whole shaman thing, and everyone was just sitting like, cool.
Totally.
People I feel like we need to encourage people to sit. Like, I feel like that's like the right proper thing.
I mean, no, stand if you want, but don't feel like you have.
Well, unless they tell you not to stand, though. I'm seriously worried about people fucking tumbling. Like, I've seen Wooks tumble at MSG, and that's not steep, right? But like, I've seen it every single time I've been to MSG. I see a Wooks take a tumble, and this is apparently like twice as steep as that.
Have any of you been to the Sphere before?
No.
Because I went for U2, and I was in like the 300 section, maybe like 303, which I don't know if those are considered even good seats, but it was perfect, but up there, I definitely felt a little weird. Even just walking in, like being in that room is just like a trip on its own. And the seats in front of you are like, maybe it's only up to your like knee. It's not really that high. I feel like it is vertiginous. It feels like not the safest. I don't think you could necessarily like. But no one ever told us to sit down during U2. I think people sat down most of the time, except for maybe the last few songs. But they're also standing and moving, but you can't like dance like some fans like to dance really like a lot and vibrantly. And if you're like in an upper 300 or 400 seat, you're not going to be able to do that because like you're going to fall over other people. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out there for sure, because it is a fucking crazy room and you feel that shit. It is very disorienting. And I'm not really, I love to go on roller coasters. I'm a big, hedonist in that way. Like I love roller coasters and stuff. And the actual spatial experience of being in there is like intense.
I imagine a lot of people are going to sit, and it's not going to be as big of a deal as they imagine it now, because people are thinking about shows that they've been to, but it's not in that room. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's subconscious forces that are going to make them want to sit. It's not just like, oh, I need to be safe.
The Disneyfication of Phish.
And if the graphics and shit are that cool, you can sit and watch them anyway and just kind of get lost and like chip your nuts off watching that shit. So, I think you'll be all right.
Yeah. And the Dead filling that place up for fucking like 24 nights. That's crazy.
Yeah.
With the lights on for most of. No, I mean the lights are never really on. No, I would say the lights are on. Like the U2. I mean, it was. They had like 2 years to make material for the Sphere. Apparently, if you watch that thing about them, their experience, like they got like the best visual artists and paid millions of dollars for all of their individual songs. And obviously, Phish has only had they probably have like maybe 6 months to work on it or 4 months to work on it. I'm sure it's going to be insane, but they definitely when that screen is going like full blast, it's really that's the one thing that people aren't going to be able to deal with. Like you barely even like realize the band is there. It's so much like that's never happened at a Phish show where like it's so crazy like what you're seeing around you that you're like, oh wait, yeah, actually there's Trey right there too.
Speak for yourself, John. That's happened to me a couple of times.
Oh yeah, true.
I remember last time at Dick's, I was like, holy shit, this guy keeps going forever. I do want to take a quick detour because I know not all of you watched it, but I kind of went down the rabbit hole the last couple of days with the Chateau sessions with Goose, and fuck, man, I gotta say, I am like 100% sold on Cotter Ellis. I'm not sure about the band, but oh, come on, Kev, fuck off. He is a great drummer, and this is the thing I'm realizing.
Who's
talking?
That?
Oh, nice. So Connor is gonna make
Cotter.
That's what I said. I was reading Cotter. I was reading this shit. Fucking threw me off. Cotter is going to make them a better jam band, but I don't know that all the current Goose fans want them to be a better jam band. And the reason I say that is because I was all pumped up on like these jams from the Chateau session, and I was like tweeting about it, and everybody's like, "Oh, they're gonna lose the dance groove. I don't want these long drawn out jams," and everybody's like bitching about it. I was like, so it feels like they're I don't know, their DNA is shifting a little bit with this,
but can you like encapsulate like in a quick like Cliff's Notes version like how the sound shifted from the old drummer to this new guy, like your like first impressions?
Yeah, and this is just my take. I'm not a Goose expert, so like I'm gonna summarize my impression of Ben, and I'm sure there's other examples that go against what I've seen. But based on what I've seen, Ben was really good at a handful of grooves and relied in jams on a lot of the more simpler, like dancey, which a lot of jam bands these days do, like newer jam
bands.
On
the floor.
Right. The 4 on the floor that just like and like that kind of which like create that like dancey vibe in the jams. But his fills were all very linear and limited. Whereas Cotter, I feel, has a lot more nuance and subtlety and touch to his playing. And I think he extends the jams. So like there were a couple times in these, and granted with Cotter, there's only been a handful.
Don't they always extended the jams? I mean, like
yeah, but not really the same way. I feel like from what I've seen, again, it used to be Rick and Peter that were pulling it, and then the rest of the band went with them. This last couple of times, they've backed off, and then Cotter set up a new groove, and then they built it up from the bottom up, which is a lot more akin to how Phish will set up a groove, right? Like it in the past, it would be like Rick would lay down a guitar riff, and then they would kind of like go with it. I don't know. From what I could tell, it just seems like they're evolving and that there's more nuance and sophistication to the drummer. Not to say that Ben wasn't a good drummer. I just don't know if that's going to appease everybody. I feel like there's going to be some people that are really happy and some that hate it.
I want to hear I want to hear from T on this. I feel like he's just been too quiet today. And like, this is my guy. Like, this is my like California guy, right?
He's still waking
and, like,
up.
I'm
like,
waiting.
well,
I'm really waiting.
I enjoy your perspective, and I want to know what your
I'm
thoughts
really
are on this.
waiting
Like
for us to
this
get into
brilliant new drummer that this thrilling band.
I'm really waiting for us
Goose
to
has.
get into the award talk and the Dune talk and the movie talk when we get a little bit
Okay,
later
all
on.
right. So you're okay. I get it. You're
But I will say this about Goose. I'll just add this: nothing about the drummer or the performance, the performance was pretty sweet. I will say I watched it, but they are masters of content releasing, like masters. I do not see anybody else doing what they do. Like they are just phenomenal with teasing stuff, getting stuff out there, providing shit for the fans, and then giving you these. Like that video was fantastic. Like it was so well produced. It sounded amazing. Like if you were a fan, you'd be so stoked to get this intimate show of your like the new drummer, and they put that out there for you to. Here's how he plays. Here's what we're working on. Here's how we're looking. You don't have to wait to be like, oh, I can't wait to see them at a festival this summer and see how they sound. Well, here's how we sound. Here's
right,
what we're
low
doing.
risk. You could do it for free, so that way you're more comfortable buying a ticket. And I would argue not just fans, because I wouldn't consider myself like a Goose fan. Even people that were like skeptical or on the fence, that's really effective for like us too, right? Because it's very accessible.
You're like, what the hell? Why wouldn't I watch it? I got nothing else to do. Let me put this on and check it out. And everyone's going to be talking about it. So let me at least know what it is. And you watch it and you're like, okay, I'm just really impressed with how they keep pumping material out. And it's the same thing they did over the pandemic with doing those live shows, streaming and stuff. It's kind of been their MO. And I'm really impressed that they keep going on it. And it's been really fun to watch and see them grow that way. And I'm not even a fan. I just like watching it from afar and seeing this happen. And it's cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to end up watching all the shows this summer and becoming a fan and just not telling anybody or tweeting about it. Because like people are arguing with me.
Yeah, it's going to be it's full guilty pleasure.
Right. The entire band, everything about it is my guilty pleasure. Because like I was complimenting them and I was getting shit online of like I was a hater or something. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, came to play. Ben is a good drummer. I'm not trying to shit on him, but there's a spectrum. Not everybody's the bestest, right? You could have a great drummer and then have another drummer that's a little bit better, right? So like I do agree that Ben is a great drummer, but I think Cotter's probably a little more advanced.
It depends on what a band needs. I mean, the Beatles needed Ringo. Ringo is not the greatest drummer in the world, but he did what he needed to do. And
Kev, look at it this way. Look at replacing Billy with Jay in the Dead & Co. and what that did for the band and like the whole last tour and stuff. I mean, it's not saying one's better than the other, but it infuses a different life into the band and takes it in kind of a different direction. I'm not saying Billy's worse than Jay or Jay's better than Billy by any means. Billy's a master of what he does, but putting it in there, it changes the dynamics and changes up the band a little bit. And sometimes that's what you want and what you need, and it takes it in a different direction.
Are we still talking about Goose?
We're talking about
that now.
Spafford added Corey Schechtman and when Red left, and they've got a whole new life. They're a different band. I mean, they're doing 4-song first sets now that are just mind-boggling. It's good, but it also doesn't it make you appreciate Phish more that it is the same 4 guys for all these years? I mean,
oh my god. I think that honestly Trey played with them and he was like, okay, I think I need to like teach the children what a rock star really does. And then he like did,
busted out the oxy
and he did like, I remember there's that shot of the guy from Goose like watching the game hand set, kind of like like he's sitting down, like having a good time. Because like, yeah, like, I guess you gotta sometimes you gotta know your place. And I honestly think, I mean, that's just, it's not a theory, but Trey definitely did start like fucking like absolutely killing it on a very much higher level, like right after that little joint tour. But that's the last I'll ever say about that because people are going to come for me. But I don't know, whatever.
Taboos. I think that invigorated Trey for sure. And I think anytime he got the same thing out of Fairly Well. I feel like anytime he collaborates with talented musicians and gets a different perspective, he's like the type of professional and like creative that just injects him with all the goodness, and you know what I mean. And
I'll say this about Goose though. Goose needs to live their own life and have their own trials. No other band like the Dead or Phish even were like coddled kind of like by some band that came before them and like, oh, you can look, we'll help you. We're gonna like, bring you out on stage. We're gonna do all this. Like, oh, isn't this wonderful? This is great. No, you had to fucking like actually go do it yourself. And so
well,
maybe
you're
hopefully
talking
that's
about
over.
the ones that were successful though. There were tons of bands that lived in the off the teat of Phish. I mean, fuck, like Mo and Humphreys and Disco Biscuits and all these bands made their living on after parties and in the shadow of Phish tour. Yeah, they all got started in after shows.
I thought those bands actually had much longer careers and really like did the road.
Yeah, I'm
like,
talking about way before Goose. They got there, but that's how it all started.
Has any other band like gotten that huge like that fast? But like with huge support from like the gods of that.
They haven't had the Kevin
like,
Shapiro backing. I think that's more so the thing is the Shapiro backing than the Phish backing. He's the one that.
Santana did it. Santana did it for Phish, really?
Well, they took him out on tour in '92.
Yeah, that was awesome. But like that was like well, who knows? Maybe that is similar.
That was my first Merriweather Phish show was '92.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta get off.
And I actually saw everybody. My first year of Phish, I saw a show that was them opening for Santana, and like, yeah, I think that probably is the one example. But how great was that for Trey? He literally wanted to become a musician because watching fucking Soul Sacrifice in the Woodstock documentary, and he got to open for Santana. And I guess the Goose, like they probably grew up on Goose, blew their minds, and they got to like open for Phish or for Trey. So, I guess there is some kind of a symmetry to that. I might have to eat my words. I just wish that I just wish that they were. I think they're a great band. I just think that they need some filth in them, and they need some life experience and darkness, and like
Let's change gears real quick because we do want to just mention the finale of this. It came and went and kind of finished this year or this past week, but we had our final matchup between Eyes and Darkstar. I wasn't surprised at all that Eyes won.
I was surprised by the margin. I spanked Darkstar.
Eyes almost beat Terrapin last year, though. That was tight with Terrapin, so I was like, I don't know. I feel like
I'm shocked by Eyes like winning. I honestly think that was never. I mean, obviously we all love Eyes of the World. It's a great song, but that would never in a million years when I was in fucking college be considered like the number one greatest Grateful Dead song. No way. Come on. Like that is no one would say that.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I mean, it was the bracket. I think all around was fun to like see how certain things shaked out and how you'd be like, "There's no way that song should be beating that song, or that song should have beat that song or advanced that song." So, I mean, you get a lot of that. I'm glad it shook out the way it did, though. That we ended up with the final two that we were gonna get. It's kind of like what we said. You kind of end up with that anyway. So, I mean, and Eyes, after last year, I thought Darkstar, though. I mean, you look at it. Eyes is sort of that. I mean, to me, it is one of my favorite Dead songs, personal favorite Dead songs. Like I got on my first show, like I love it. Like I love listening to early versions of 73 and then how it changes later on. Like it's fascinating. But Darkstar's like the godfather, right? Like of not just the Dead, but like of all jam songs, kind of. It's kind of like the god, right? Like the Rose Bowl of jams. Like it's the fucking king of what you always associate jams with. So it's also kind of its nemesis with that, though, because you kind of get lost in it, and it's kind of like not really a true song. It's kind of built to be a jammy song, so it's kind of polarizing in that sense. But I don't know. I mean, Terrapin and Eyes is the one too. I kind of can see that as far as voting wise and what you would think popular opinion.
Yeah, actually, I have to come back. I have to like eat my words again because the first Dead show I ever went to, and I guess I was kind of like lucky, I guess. The first Dead show I ever went to was March 29th, 1990, when I was in high school. And that was at the Nassau Coliseum. And at that show, they played The Eyes of the World that ended up on that, with Branford Marsalis or the Wynton Marsalis. One of them are, and it's like one of the greatest Eyeses of all time. And they also brought back like Darkstar for the first time, I think, in many years. And which is weird that they were both there. But Yeah, that Eyes, I still look back on that's probably one of the greatest things like that ever happened, and it's like super beautiful. And thinking about it, like in that respect, I don't have an issue with Eyes of the World, winning because I think it really, it was a song that took them there, like that they could go the furthest with. So yeah,
what's
I just reversed my whole opinion.
We do that constantly. It's good. It means we're thinking it through. What's weird about the Grateful bracket too is we've actually done 3 of them. And so we've done 2 that were of like this format, but the first one we left paired songs, and the final ended up being Scarlet Fire versus Help Slip Franklin's. And so it's obvious why we stopped doing that, because you had 5 songs in the final, but it changes the calculus entirely when you're talking about, and that's kind of how a lot of people, how I would think of the shows anyway, is like, you get certain like movements or pairings or mixed matches of songs too. So I feel like when you're just talking individual compositions and jam vehicles, like this makes sense, but I don't know. I think that's an interesting way to look at it.
Look at what happened with Scarlet and Fire in this bracket.
They both got in Elite 8.
They're both.
And I don't know how either one of them. Scarlet beat. I mean,
Wait,
it should have been other one estimated. It should have been other one estimated.
Where was Terrapin in this one?
Terrapin retired because it won last year.
Oh, okay. So okay, that makes sense.
So there's no Eyes next year, so we won't have Eyes.
Whoa! Why what are you committing to, Kev? Easy does it. If we do it again, Eyes will retire.
When we do it again, Tim. Come on.
I don't want to be there. I don't want to commit to shit. Yeah, I'm tired, man.
We can't say it's annual. Like
no, it's not annual.
An annual thing, but they happen again sometimes.
But I got a question for you though. Like, since the whole, Twitter turning into X, like, do you feel like is there significantly less people participating in like this in these brackets, or like
I could say I significantly give less fucks, and I don't try it. Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, I shouldn't admit it, but like when it was like Twitter and like I like took so much pride in it, and everything was perfectly on time and like perfectly manicured. And honestly, it's not just our fault. The app sucks now too. You can't, there's a lot of errors and glitches and things don't go. So I don't know. We got about 1,000 people.
I used to see the Phish brackets. It would be part of my feed, and like this didn't even like show
now
up.
You got
for
porn
me,
bots and Nazis and all sorts of other nasty shit.
Honestly, I don't do Twitter as much anymore at all, to be honest.
Well, this was also the first time we ran it through the Wook Plus account. Tim usually ran it through the Weekend Wook account, which had sort of more reach to it. This time we ran it just through the Wook Plus account, so it wasn't as reachy. But I mean, we still got 1,000, almost 1,002 for the finals, which I was watching right down to the end to see if we'd hit 1,000, which I'm glad we did. But to Kev's point, it was a little shocking that it ended up 60-30 or whatever it was, 60-40-ish or 67-30, whatever the hell it was. Like,
well, yeah, it was like 2/3 to 1/3.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I was talking with Kevin before, and like, which hasn't surprisingly not come up yet, is that he thinks, I would agree that it's because of John Mayer, that maybe Eyes won. That
Althea be playing.
Althea,
definitely that Althea got as far as
Althea's an amazing song. It's one of my favorite songs of all time for sure. But it was not like considered one of the big like bangers back then the day at all. And now it's like played often, and he sings it, and now and that's no coincidence.
Totally.
Yeah, no, Teal fucking kills Eyes too. I feel like Eyes has. I mean, it was good before anyway, but I feel like it's continued that status, right? Like it still gets a lot of love with Dead and Co.
Right. It was supposed to be Dark Star versus Playing though in the 8, which would have been a fantastic match.
And it was supposed to be the other one versus Dark Star here, which would have been better.
I feel like the other one's gonna win one of these days, right? I mean, like seems like that.
I would have thought it was supposed to be in the final 4, but it got beat by Scarlet somehow. Some bullshit.
I mean, partly depends on its seeding, right? Too. That's always a tough.
But also, look,
luck of the draw.
When you do a Phish bracket, there really are individual songs. But like with the Dead, over time, some of those songs are like really they're one part of a half, or they're one part of a trio, and people don't see them any other way. So people are like Scarlet on its own. Okay, maybe it would lose, but Scarlet Fire would like slay all, right? Or like
which it did the first time. Yeah, which was my point. It fucks it up.
The song Slipknot would probably like not do well, but if you have a Help Slip Frank, like then that would probably be, the dominator. Like, so the Dead's different in that way, or even Estimated Eyes
it
Estimated,
fucks up the whole calculus.
Saint Stephen the 11, like all of those, like, are the Dead often did like a 1-2 punch that Phish doesn't necessarily. So it's hard to separate those songs and just Fire in the Mountain and Scarlet. Like, they're different because they're not. A lot of people would say maybe it's the same song, just like the same beast. It just sort of evolves from one end to the other.
Fire is like riding Scarlet's coattails when it comes down to it.
I think those two though can be separated easier than Help Slip Franklin's, or like
China Rider always sticks out.
Yeah, you can't, like, those two separated are weird. Like back in the day when you get those separated just single riders, you're like, that's weird, and it was such a different song. Like,
yeah, if you got China and no rider, you'd be like, it's like coitus interruptus. Like,
you'd be at a Phil show if you get a China with no rider, because Phil does that kind of shit.
Oh, really?
Speaking of Phil,
hey, good segue.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's why I make the medium bucks.
One of these days. Yes. So Phil's announced a couple more shows. I think he's playing tonight, right? And he has a couple more
with the Q. With the best version of Phil and Friends.
And the other night had a little fallback, but luckily there was a chair there and everybody was ready, and he continued the show. I saw a clip of it. It didn't look as bad as people were describing it.
Apparently he did play it tonight though, Kev, and he played both of them. Look at that.
Is he looking okay? Anybody who's watching it? Because
so that's what I was gonna say. From what I saw in the clip, it's like it didn't look as bad as it was described online, but it definitely does not look like everything is 100% okay.
I know,
and it looks very legit. Like it looks 84. Like there's no sugarcoating it. They're not like, oh, he looks good for his age. It's like, well,
I mean, at that point, you're not doing anything by standing anyway. Just sit. Like, just go ahead.
Right.
Mayor sat for that show, and he fucked up his back and was like, I gotta sit. Like, you're 84, man. You've earned a seat. Sit.
George Porter always has a stool.
Yeah, a stool, always. Yeah, totally. Do it, man.
And you don't risk
bass is heavy as shit. The bass guitar is like the heaviest instrument besides the Hammond organ, really, And
you don't have that strapped around your neck.
Yeah, you don't have that strapped around your neck.
Yeah. What? Phil's 84.
Yeah, Jack 81.
Wait,
yeah.
Is that? Wait, is he 84?
Yeah, he was born at 40. Yeah.
That's older than Paul McCartney. That's older than Joe Biden. That's older than Mick Jagger. Like, just to get perspective of like where we're at. Now, meanwhile, all these people are still hitting it. So like 80s is not what it used to be, but like, just have a seat. I think that's what we're saying. Is like, don't stop playing.
80 is
and they're like, also they're playing into the future. They're playing to maybe do another Fare Thee Well, and like they're gonna take Phil. I mean, these guys are all. I mean, 84.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy to be 84 and still like touring and playing.
He was alive during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Old as my mom is 80. He's older than my mom.
I thought you were 120. How the fuck is your mom 80? What are you saying?
I thought you were.
I can't wait till you hit middle age though. You're gonna learn a thing or two.
Who, me?
Yeah,
you. Yeah, you. Yeah, you're gonna. I know you're like, it's fun to like sort of be like, ha ha ha, but it's coming. You gotta beat it with grace.
I love being over 50. I'm staring down the AARP discount in a year or two.
Dude, Kevin, I'm with you. I'm telling you, I've never felt more like myself or like good in life than when I turned 50. Honestly, like the best. Like you You really, I don't know. You stop giving a fuck about certain things for sure.
You're in your third act. You're entering your third act, and you're just like, I'm going out with a blaze of glory.
I got a certain amount of years left that are gonna be
I find
good.
it interesting that all the old people in the audience took it personally when I made fun of Kev. I've been talking about Kev's age for
all the old people.
Hey, you came at me for being a child, so I'm just saying. Yes. No, you're not the only one though. Like came to play with saying it too. But I've been giving Kev shit about being 150 since I met him.
Yes, and it's fine
for years.
For at least 50 years.
Well, we wish Phil the best and hope that there's many more years of him being at the Cap for his birthday.
Phil is the fucking best.
And next year, next weekend he's playing Phil and Friends show. It's a different band, but if you didn't get to see him this week.
Hey, before we go to the next, I promised my friend the sunglasses I'm wearing. Shakedown Shadies on Instagram. She's my friend Jenna. She I met down in Mexico. She actually made these sunglasses, and she's a really cool ass lady. And nice. Shakedown Shadies.
Shakedown Shadies.
I like it. Oh, they're sweet.
Over on if you're in the meta world, over on the Instagram.
Yeah.
I am not an Instagram person. I do go into the Facebook sometimes, though.
You would like Instagram. It's it's like more aesthetic.
There's pictures,
cool pictures.
Well, my issue is you can't put links.
But dude, you're a poet, dude. You appreciate the aesthetics of the world.
He likes his Facebook groups.
My favorite was Twitter, man. It makes me so sad because it was a microblog. It was, if you remember the beginning of Twitter, it was just all random weird shit. It wasn't news. It wasn't, it was like people just throwing out random thoughts into the world. Which is what I still do. And some people are like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
It is. Why can we do the Wook Club show selection first and then get into the award season?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
What is the Wook Club show selection?
Fellas? Wook Club is a thing we do every Tuesday night. Well, we do it during the week. We listen to a show, right? Either a Phish show or a Grateful Dead show. Then we get together on Tuesday night. And so instead of a book club, we have the Wook Club and we discuss the show. Normally
cool. I like that.
We usually use the random show generator to figure out what we're going to do. So it's completely random. But for March, we decided to take submissions from the chat and we're putting it in a wheel. So that way we could get some, viewer participation. And I think it's working out. We listened to Jacksonville last night. Was that last night? I don't know. I'm fucking.
Yeah, Jacksonville was last night.
I'm so tired. I had a seminar at 5 in the. I had to leave at 5 in the morning this morning, and the baby was up all night. Fucking tired. I might be young, but I am fucking exhausted. 2 kids. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so these are this week's options. What are we thinking? Do you guys have anything that's sticking out at you that you're looking for?
Well, I want the one I suggested, so.
I don't remember what you suggested.
I don't remember.
95 was 11:30.95. Maybe?
No, 12/9/97.
Oh yeah, here it is. I kind of want to get Hampton since we've been talking about it all day. 3609. I think that would be cool.
All right, spin that wheel.
Spin that wheel. Wait, did that spin?
Yeah,
that was it.
Oh,
what a lame spin.
6 4 11.
Really anticlimactic.
All right, everybody. 6 4 11. More.
Yeah, what is Well, I'll find out. I was gonna say I don't even know what that one is.
Who suggested it? Whose was it?
We'll have to go back and look at the comments on that episode.
Let us know in the chat if that was your show. Oh, Blossom in Ohio. It must have been. Oh wait, this looks like a. All right, hold on. Hold the phone, because you guys know that you could tell from .net if it's a good show or not. But just look at all these jam charts. You got like 4 jam charts.
Another steam piper. Didn't we just get a steam piper last time?
We did.
Yeah. This is the first steam. The very first steam. And you got lizards in there. And we got another antelope.
Anytime you have a Harry Hood, have mercy, Harry Hood, that's like gonna be a magical moment. Like, yeah, that's pretty primo.
All right.
Yeah. Where's the score?
First set ocelot.
Didn't they turn off the scores?
Oh yeah, what the fuck? So they said they turned off the scores and the reviews, and then Mexico had like 50 votes on it, and nobody at .net knew how that was happening. I guess that's why they pulled it out altogether.
Did you guys even talk about Mexico and how fucking like?
Yeah, let's talk about Mexico.
That was the fucking best shit like that I've seen in a long time. Well, actually, that's not true. I think the last this whole past year of Phish has been, and I've been like going for a long time, and it's really just a completely different band. Like they're scary. They're so good right now.
Yeah, it's crazy after Gamehenge that they were able to still throw down and have such great shows. Honestly, Wave of Hope Night 2 would have been standout and like a singularity in and of itself. If that was all like the big highlight, that would have been an incredible run, I think, like a highlight out of that run in that night. But then to get the Chalk Dust after that and overshadow that Wave of Hope was insane.
Yeah.
What was that like getting that in person on the beach? That must have been crazy.
Oh, maybe now is the time to whip out the photos. I said, Kevin. No, yeah, no, it was the fucking best. Like,
hey, it's a Grateful Racket. Thank you.
Oh, where the fuck? I clicked the
eyes.
I think people were very shocked and amazed that like they were going as dark and like nasty and long and evil as they were, and they just like I don't know. It felt like a version of Phish that they never really brought down there. That it was usually
there. We go.
There it is. Oh,
that's right. That's me wearing the same outfit. Yeah, but like they, it was very.
Look at that. It was very John. I like these glasses.
Yeah, those are different ones. Yeah, but there's a lot of people that the sunglasses game down there is pretty on point. I'll tell you, like everyone that's sort of like the fetish there. I guess I don't know if it's like that elsewhere on tour, but it's like everybody has to have like really good sunglasses.
The Chihuahuas
but I support that.
are
I've always
amazing.
been a fan. Oh yeah. That's Andrew.
That was a great shirt.
That's a great spot.
Oh yeah, that's me. That's me. Yeah, this is actually my favorite spot at the down there. It's sort of on Page side. There's this whole kind of meadow off to the left that has its own bar and like bathrooms really close by. And like not a lot of people really go there. It's kind of like a hidden little like people want to stand in the usual front and center to Phish if they can. But that was my favorite spot down there. We call it the mound. It's like this mound of it's like there's grass and it's a little bit different height than the rest of it. Now like regretting sending those to Kevin earlier. Those are all my friends. That's my crew. That's my family down there. They're all good people. That's where we hang out there on the mound. And for now, Benny, that's what's the great thing about that, And I know it's like I don't want to seem like too like bougie or whatever, but like if you can actually do it, we've made like such like awesome connections, like real life, going back there. It's sort of an idyllic place to see Phish, and if you could ever try to do it, I would recommend it. It's very different than anything else. It's like being on a cruise ship. You never like you're around the same people the whole time. No one goes home after the show or has to sort of dissolve back into a city.
You just eat a lot and hang out at the buffet.
Well, yeah, some people are the eaters, but like a lot of people there are really, without getting into too much detail, like maybe aren't eating a lot.
Right.
But there's definitely like options. The whole all inclusive thing is.
The food sucks.
That's the only time I've ever experienced it.
I know. I went on a cruise with the Radiators once, and I don't know
that's my
if there wasn't a
Mason.
band playing.
The food is terrible. Unless you're in like the Grand, the food is not. It's actually gotten worse, over the years. But we're all like, I don't know. The people who go there, we're all like veterans of it, and like I felt like they just burned the place to the ground this last time. Like people are sick of it. And I've heard it's actually gonna be moving to a new location because people are just over it. Because the people who've been a lot know that place really well, and there's a lot of like shenanigans that go on there, and there's heists and there's thefts and there's like sneaking around, and they're trying to like get people to go to bed, but people want to stay up, and it's a lot more chaotic and kind of crazy and like renegade than you think.
Whoa. Go back. What do you mean there are heists going on? Exactly.
Well, okay. For example, in the front of there's like these three main resorts. They have these huge, all these poles with these big flags, like Phish, Riviera, Maya flags, maybe like a dozen big, like these big flags, and they're beautiful, and they're at like each of the three resorts. And as the week goes on, they start disappearing because there's certain fans who are like, and I know some of them, and I'm not going to name names because I'm not a fucking narc, but who are ninjas, and they go and they steal those flags, and I don't really know even how they do it, but throughout the week, maybe there was like, it started with 20, and then there's like 15, and then there's 10, and because they like, I don't know, they have tools to like, maybe they take down the flag and snip off the whatever
is that.
And
I
actually don't know. I talked to them. They put in some new. They try to put some like thicker twist ties to like, so you couldn't do it, but they still got them. And not only that, there's people who pay other people to heist for them. And
heist rabbits, like the old cat rabbits.
I shouldn't be saying this stuff because the Moon Palace. What if they ban me forever? That would be terrible. Okay, everything I just said is complete bullshit.
Sounds like a good screenplay.
That's amazing, though. Jeez, man, like can't have nice things. Like they'll steal anything off of anywhere.
Well, those like because people they just want any kind of merch, anything. Like people go crazy for the posters. If you get a giant like flag of like, like,
and it's exclusive. It's exclusive. No one else has it. Like you have one of 20.
And I think it only works also because Mexico is like it's different. Like you get away with more there. It's obviously kind of a renegade state. The rules are a little bit different. Even if you get busted in Mexico, like there's ways around that. Like so it's a weird place to be.
Is there any cockfighting on the beach?
No, that I haven't seen. But people have definitely been busted that like like boning like on the property because like there's a lot of single people going. They're very attractive. They're down there. People are like taking a lot of really fun substances, and people have they can't just go back to their rooms. So I've heard there's been a lot of people busted by security in various hidden pockets, just like totally going at it.
Do they?
It's wild.
Like a curfew? Do you have to go back to your room after the shows, or like what?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. Basically, they're the show ends about 11:30, and then they like have this after party, which is great, like with a DJ by one of the pools, and with dances. Then you can go maybe 2:30. That's true. I did hear there was some kind of art piece. That was on the festival, on the actual grounds. This sort of like worm, sort of inflatable, it's sculpture. And apparently, I did hear that people were fucking on it, like during a show. But I don't know. I didn't see that, but I did hear that from some people. But but people kind of like after those at 2:30 in the morning, like the sort of official after party ends. But a lot of people are like, okay, they'll go home. But there's definitely plenty of people who are like still ready to go, and like that can be sort of more of a stealth mercenary operation where you have to find folks to hang with in the beach who have like a speaker, and the party moves around. It's you gotta kind of sort of make your own adventure down there, but
I could see soaking more than actual fucking,
No, I mean, I don't know, but they're not doing. It's not like it's in public or it's all like. But I think that I've heard that people got. Well, I guess that one was. I don't.
I mean, I feel like fucking at Phish isn't new though.
People are taking shits at like Phish shows and like everything. Like it seems like everything's sort of going like spinning, not like circling the drain, and just societally anyway. And like
there was a picture of there was a picture of someone who pooped in the lobby of Mexico this year, the first day.
Yeah, people say that it was like a child though, that like it was a child-sized poop because there's a lot of kids there. I was surprised. There weren't just kids. People brought like full on infants there who were like, I'm not out the womb more than 3 months, like really tiny babies.
That's
and I get it. Like I'm not gonna like people, do what you gotta do, but like I saw a lot, and it's like maybe if you just had a baby, you don't need to go to.
Right. I'm not even like
Mexico.
judging them for the baby, but like that doesn't sound fun at all. Like having a fucking baby is a lot of work and exhausting, and like I wouldn't want to be fucking.
And you can't take the baby. You can't take a baby anywhere near the show. So maybe just like I guess the dad is just going and like having some fun, and the mom's sort of like not, because these were like babies that were like seriously probably still nursing, like really really little. And a lot of people are commenting. I never saw that much before. Like there's sort of Phish tourism bougie thing that's happened for sure. There was a whole controversy.
Well, if you can afford to bring your baby to Mexico, right? You probably are bringing the nanny too.
Yeah. Well, can I tell you that also there was this whole thing, I don't know if you're familiar with some of the fringe Facebook groups in the Phish community, but like basically there was one incident where someone with their kids like built this huge sandcastle on the beach during the show. And then I guess some wook, like stumbled into or wrecked the sandcastle. And then this guy like tried to like call out everybody for how dare you like ruin my kid's sandcastle, in Mexico. And everyone was like, what this is like an adult party. And also the beach is dark, people might stumble into, they made this huge obstacle in the middle of like the darkness and expect like they were the good guys. Like but yeah.
Crazy shit.
Speaking of sand, what do you think about Dune? Have you seen it yet?
No spoilers.
Yeah, I do. Yes, I love Dune. Dune is amazing. Like I mean, I wouldn't say if you like the first movie, I'd say you definitely would like the second movie. I think it's definitely better. There's a couple parts in Dune that were like as good as anything I've ever seen in a movie theater.
Wow.
Like but it is really long, and like I'm sure not everybody, people have their own issues with it, but I think it's unmissable as far as cinema. It was really
you need to see it in the theater. It's epic.
Yeah, I saw it in IMAX, which was like I'd say see as big as you can, as loud. Right. It was loud. It was fucking like Black Sabbath. Like serious. They really turned it up like probably too much.
Well, and there's a lot of like no spoiler, but there's a lot of like drone sounds and like sounds. Bass. So like it's the sounds that kind of like hit you in the chest with the band, like the seats kind of like the ones when you're walking by a theater and you hear it, you're like there's a lot of that in there. So it's kind of like the sound design's crazy. It's really it's good though.
It's crazy.
I got tickets for it on Saturday at IMAX. Can't wait. I wanted to
my
see
kid
it
wants
sooner,
to go to IMAX.
Yeah,
my kid went and saw it the other day, and she's like, "I think I saw it in a lame theater. I want to get back and see it at IMAX."
I mean, there's certain films like that it's kind of like that, like appointment sort of viewing, where you want to see like Oppenheimer and like this, where you want to see them in the big format because they're epic. They're beautifully shot, and there's a reason to see them like that before
Oppenheimer.
Took
me 3 times to get through it. I had to watch it in 3 different sittings.
Kev, you're not a fan of Oppenheimer?
It was very tough to get through. Yeah. It was tough for me to get through.
Get ready. I think at the Oscars, it's gonna win like everything.
Yeah, I agree. And it should. I feel like it kind of, I don't know if you were gonna go this route, but I kind of feel like it should personally.
Well, no, I like the movies. It wasn't my favorite. I would have other choices. Like for example, like my favorite movie last year was The Holdovers. And I think it was also a lot of people's favorite movie. And it's really just a gorgeous film. It's sort of timeless, could be, and kind of movie usually don't. It really was like plucked from the 70s. Could have been like Hal Ashby or like Robert Altman, like that good on that level. And I feel like, Oppenheimer is going to get everything. I think Paul Giamatti should get the best actor. I think that Cillian, who's in Oppenheimer, he's probably going to win it. Like they're going to win the most things, except for the best supporting actress, where
you don't think Cillian should win it
over Paul Giamatti? No. I mean, I feel like, no, because I feel like Paul's performance is like and he's always.
Always
Paul
good,
was actually he was in a movie actually that I wrote, so maybe I have a sort of a special attachment to him, but like his performance is like it's iconic, I think, and just sort of like this so soulful, and I think that Cillian probably had a lot of heavy lifting to do, but it just didn't like his performance.
Nolan did more of the work, though. I think the way they wrote it and filmed it and produced it, not that Cillian didn't have a fantastic performance, but it was almost like everything was set up for his success. Like you know what I mean? Like I feel like everything was like handed to him almost. Like it felt that way at least, and maybe that's a sign of how good he did because they made it seem easy.
Well, yeah, but it's seamless. It's sort of a dour role, and I feel like
that's kind of him.
Giamatti is like the most human. Like I don't know, it's just a real soulful. Like he'll probably like the. I don't know if he'll ever get a role that good again. And I saw the movie twice, and I like cried both times, like the same moment. And it was like Paul who like made it happen. And like I just think he's just one of the greatest actors who ever did it. And it improves every movie that he's in. And big moment. That was his first real role. He talks about it in Stern recently, like how he like it really changed his whole life. But like, yeah, he's so good. And I wish he would win. And I think I respect to Cillian, but like it's gonna bum me out if he wins it.
I like too the whole like you said how Payne embraces the whole 70s feel of that film though, right down to like the beginning with the film feel of the credits, like the beginning opening sequences.
The credit drop was like sort of
the drop and everything, and then even at the end has it. It's really cool. Really
and it has like sort of like these weird slow zooms that like no one does, and
really. I think it's cool though in the whole best picture category this year how different most of the films are, which is cool because you get a very wide variety of different things to see. Like Anatomy of a Fall, I thought was brilliant. Like I can see why it won Cannes. Like it's an amazing, like you get done with it and it inspires conversation, right? Like when you're through with it, because it leaves you in this weird position. So it inspires you to keep talking about it after the film, which great films do. It like inspires conversation and leaves you with something well after you're done with it. And then, like you said, The Holdovers, it's such a warm, cool film, like fun, and totally, like I said, 70s feel to it. And then you got Oppenheimer and Barbie. And I don't know, there's a lot of really good films this year to check out for it.
So Barbie doesn't deserve to win at all?
I mean, I wouldn't say it. I mean, I think it's a great movie. I think it's a totally fun movie. But I mean, I think it was a stacked year for movies.
It's a tough year.
Like, if you look at like last couple of years, like in this year, all of the nominees that are kind of bangers in some way. Like they're really like kind of are really. And I haven't felt that way about movies in like many years. I think this whole past year. And there's stuff like that isn't even on, didn't get nominated that wish did, and like that movie Bottoms. I love that movie. It's sort of like out of nowhere kind of punk comedy. I was also in this movie called When Evil Lurks. It's like a Spanish horror movie. That's the most like fucked up thing. It kicks the ass of any like American horror movie I've seen. So it was a great Zone of Interest. That movie is fucking gnarly. Like,
and the same actress as the
Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah.
There's like the quality has been, I think, really good. So it's going to be probably one of those Oscars, and also fucking Poor Things, which I think honestly should probably win everything. Even I think Emma should win it. She won't. It's going to be probably what's her name, Lily, or from Lily Gladstone, who is awesome, but like Emma Stone did like a generationally insane performance and should win. She probably won't.
Who's gonna win?
Which one? Like best like picture or what?
Best female.
Lily.
I think that Lily Gladstone's gonna win.
Yeah, I do too. For Flowers of the Killer Moon. But Kev, to answer your point about Barbie, it might not deserve to be the best picture, but Greta deserved to be nominated for best director. Not win it because I'm sure Nolan will get it, but she deserves to be nominated for that. So,
but it's hard. I mean, look, it's hard to make the case against people who like.
It is always.
I'll tell you, I have like only one quibble with the Oscars this year. I'll just say it's in the best supporting category, and that's the only place where I feel like there's a real travesty taking place because this guy, was it Charles Melton, who was in May December? Everyone said he should be best supporting actor. He's like this Asian American actor, and he really had this crazy breakout role in that movie. Which maybe, I mean, a lot of people saw it. It was on Netflix, and then it's sort of like other people kind of snuck in and got his spot. Really like De Niro, who I didn't think does not deserve it, and whatever.
Was it released too early? Does it matter when a movie's released? Like if you release a movie in March, does it get lost when they do the nominations?
I mean, it can, but May December wasn't really released early, so well, maybe it was a little earlier. I don't. It's hard to tell. The whole machine is very, lobbied. There's a whole industry of people who are there's a whole industry of people who are paid to sway the votes of the Academy. It's like they spend a lot of money on it, and
Yeah, it's not because of the talk, see, it's because I've been up for 3 days straight with the 7-month-old. But I find this fascinating.
She's so cute, though. She's so cute.
I feel like my whole Nolan standing is like a little cliche and maybe not sits well with these arty farty fucks. But I don't know. I think he had a phenomenal showing with Oppenheimer. I actually thought it was overhyped going into it, so I went in ready to hate it, and it came out of it like fuck, like that was really good.
Well, I'll tell you something just to like bring it full circle. When I was like flying home from Mexico, am I still like my sound like when I was flying home from Mexico, I watched the Prestige. Okay, I watched the Prestige, which is.
Oh, now you're muted.
I can't hear you.
How did that happen?
Wait, they disconnected. Can't hear you.
Yeah. Oh no.
It says your mic isn't connected now.
Oh no. We made it.
Earbuds, man. Earbuds.
We made it so far.
They're such a pain in the ass when those things happen. Like then they disconnect and you gotta try and reconnect them and like get them. Yep.
I was watching interview with Nolan.
Now he'll still be able to come back in. We're live.
Okay.
Now Nolan is the guy who does the Batman movies.
Batman movie. He did the trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy, which are arguably some of the best comic.
All right, sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we got you.
I don't even know what I was in the middle of talking about when that happened.
The Prestige. Watching the Prestige.
I was watching the movie The Prestige, which honestly, and after watching that movie is really good. It's like fucked up and it's like dark and like so. I feel like that maybe is the best Nolan movie right there, The Prestige. And I've seen it before, like I always do. But that is, if you ever want to like check that movie out again, it is really good.
So good.
I'm going back through all of them right now. I just saw an interview today with him and Dennis, what's his face, from Dune, and they were like, yeah, and that guy's fucking awesome, and they were like talking each other up. So I just watched Tenet. I'm going back to Memento. I'm gonna rewatch his whole catalog because like I'd seen them all, but like it's been a while, and I'm like really excited to do it. And then probably Dune 2
really
this weekend.
Fortunate to be in a time where these two great directors, like within 6 months, a year of each other, you get Oppenheimer, and then you get Dune 2, and before that we had Dune 1, which. I mean, these films are, thank God the studios are bankrolling them and they're making the money back, so they're worth it. But I mean, these films are gorgeous. They're epically made. They're like, I mean, like Dune is like Lawrence Arabia. Like it's like this epic, like these shots they're gorgeous. it's filmmaking at its finest, and it's really special to be able to see. I mean, it's like when we talk about Phish and stuff, like I get really excited talking filmmaking and stuff, and to be able to see these things right now, it's at other level because you still want to see the smaller films and the good, the
well, you know what it is? It's sort of like I think we're reaching this age where everyone like hibernated, where we're post COVID and post the strikes, which really like fucked up Hollywood for like entire year, where everyone like nothing happened, and like it was a very weird time. And I feel like busting out of that like you are getting like people like Phish, like at Shoreline, Trey had just gotten all those effects, pretty recently. And they played this like 40-minute Soul Planet where he sort of played with all his effects, and like you saw it was great. Like everyone loved that jam. But then like now here we are like 4 years later or whatever, or 3, and it's like he knows how to use them all really well, and it's a completely different thing. It's not like him just sort of like, oh, this is gonna be fun to do the little alien sound here or the little like telephone sound here. Like they're so in control. And just like filmmakers too, like this technology or some of the newer CGI or whatever they can do, they're better at using these tools than they were when they first invented. So they're like, leveled up.
Let me ask you something. Did you see the story about Tyler Perry not building the studios he was going to build because of AI?
Actually, no, I've not. I don't know. Like Tyler Perry, he's sort of his own. He's his own industry. He has his own like way of doing things.
But he basically was like, I don't need to go on location anymore. If I want to put somebody in front of the ocean, boom, I can do it. So I don't need all these sound stages anymore. And it was just interesting to me. Where do you think AI is going with the film industry?
Well, I mean, that's a huge like sticking point in all strikes. Like everyone, like actors have their own problems with AI, and writers have their own problems with AI. That ended up being like the biggest sticking point to finally resolving everything was getting the studios to promise to like regulate it, because it can be abused so much, and still, especially with actors, especially like an up and coming actor, or not up and coming, or like young, like that they go to a job and they're like, oh, we want sign this piece of paper and we're going to scan you and we can use your likeness indefinitely into the future, and like we're going to pay you a minimum rate, for your day. And a lot of them will be like, well, shit, I want to get my SAG card, or like I want to like work, and so they'll do it. And so it's like it's fucked up, and that's what they're trying to stop, and trying to stop studios from using an AI to write a really terrible script and then maybe hire a regular, normal human writer to fix it, but they'll still have the original IP generated. Like, we're like, don't want that. I'm actually not that worried about it, though. Like, a lot of people are really worried about it, but the fact is, at the end of the day, maybe if you're in this sort of like, if you're into seeing shitty, iTunes movie that you scroll through, these B movies that never come out, but they're like, they somehow keep making them, and they're not great. But or do you want to see like something like, Zone of Interest or, Oppenheimer, real stories like intelligently told, people will hopefully,
And I think that's what's awesome about this year is the people are showing that hunger's still there for those movies, right? Like I feel like there was this false narrative that was not what people want anymore, and that like cinema was dying. And now it's like almost like everybody's like coming together and saying like,
it's not.
No, that is the shit we want.
Like I'm very hopeful, but I feel like it's very easy to like kind of, especially all after the strikes, it is kind of in chaos right now. It's a new kind of era where things are shrinking and different kind of shows are being made. It's a very, fluid time for show business. But I feel like you could either complain about it or like just sort of adapt and just try to like, if you're trying, your whole goal is to make cool stuff or entertain people, you have to just keep doing it or find a way, and just commit to it, because I think that's what people want. I think they want authentic stuff now. Everyone's been through a lot of shit, in the last few years. Nobody has
shit, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're about to go through some shit before we get through this year. So like it's kind of that escapism is good. Movies are good. So
I'm not ready for this year. This year's gonna
be
fucking
rough.
blow. But hey, there's gonna be a lot of highlights before we get through all the shit.
It's not gonna blow, man. It's gonna be good. You're gonna be
good. We're going in with optimism.
You're gonna face those challenges and you're gonna kill it. You know, I believe in you.
No, I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about the rest of the country making the right
Oh,
decisions.
yeah. I know you're saying, yeah, this year is going to be a very chaotic, weird. And then, you know, yeah, I've been buying like tickets, like, you know, for shows that are coming up later in the year. And like some of them are like in like October and November. And I'm thinking, like, while I'm buying the tickets, I'm like, when I go to this show, I'm probably going to be really stressed out and kind of like, like on the verge of fucking collapse. And like, I'm going to be like planning my escape to move to like, fucking, I don't know, like New Zealand.
You know, it's funny. I find that being as old as I am, I look at it and I'm like, I'll be dead in 10, 15 years. So I'm really not going to see the worst of it anyway. I can't stress out about it. I just can't stress out about it anymore. I got more important stuff to be happy about. I'd rather be happy.
Kev's allowed to make fun of himself being old, but I'm not allowed to make fun of him being old. Is that how this works?
Yeah, dude, it's very different, dude. Come on, like, you know better. You know,
I do.
I'd rather see somebody posting a picture of them buying a new pair of shoes and liking that than reading some dumb political thing from either side.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
I'm just glad during this night I got to hear Kevin say the word ocean, which is my favorite thing ever. Hearing a Baltimore accent say the word ocean is just the best.
Ocean water.
Yeah, it's okay. Kev, can you say the ocean's full of wood? How do you say it? The ocean's full of water. So how would you say it?
I'm not saying
Dude, just say it. Come on, man.
You don't have to do it. Don't do it. You're not their monkey, dude. Between us.
Do it in a Kermit voice, Kev.
Do your Kermit impression. Kermit the Frog. Kermit, that's a fucking spot on impression. I don't know what anyone else is talking about.
You go down the ocean.
Let me get some plugs in because I think we're going to fade out here soon. All right. We got the Wookiee Awards coming up since we're talking about awards. April 24th, 4/24/24. If you dug John's glasses from tonight, shakedown_shadies, probably on Insta, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
Also, we will be here Sunday morning for the Sunday morning show. And like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Anything else? I think that was pretty much
I'm gonna hit this
things.
little button though real quick.
Wait, was that the chalk dust?
Yeah,
that was the chalk dust. Good ear.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's just so good.
So
we gotta get together and talk about. We never even got to that. We never even fucking got to the music, but whatever, it's fine.
we're in a half hour of what we normally do, and we just it's so easy to talk to. We'll do it again soon.
All right, cool.
All right, later, guys.
Love you guys.
We need to do a Black Sabbath version of this song.
That was the best chalk dust ever.
Still holds up. Fucking great.
Can't believe John called me a baby.
Well,